Welcome to Fatter Wallet's book summaries. Today, we're diving deep into a book that's, well, it's been a total game changer for millions of people. Stephen R. Covey's The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Let's get into what makes it so powerful.
Does this sound a little too familiar? I mean, who hasn't felt this way? Covey kicks things off by putting his finger on this feeling that so many of us have. We're constantly busy, we're stressed, but we're not actually getting closer to the life we really want. This is the big problem he's trying to solve. So, why do our attempts to fix this just not work? You know the drill. We try a new productivity app, we go to a seminar, we try to think positive, but these are often just quick fixes. It's like putting a band-aid on a much deeper issue. Covey says the real problem is the entire approach we're taking. Okay, this slide right here gets to the absolute core of his argument. Covey says that for a long, long time, success was all about the character ethic. Things like integrity, courage, humility. But somewhere along the way, we shifted to the personality ethic, focusing on public image, on skills and techniques. Basically, we started caring more about looking good than actually being good. And this farm analogy, it just nails the problem with the personality ethic. You can't fake it with a farm, right? You can't cram the night before a harvest. Life, just like a farm, is a natural system. It runs on principles. You've got to put in the work, plant the seeds, water them, take care of them to get the results. There are no shortcuts. So, if quick fixes don't work, what's the answer? Well, for Covey, it all comes down to a paradigm shift. He says that the way you see the problem is the problem. If we want to make real, lasting change, we have to change ourselves first. We have to change the lens we're looking through. So what in the world is a paradigm? Just think of it like a map. Imagine you're in Chicago, but someone's given you a map of Detroit. It doesn't matter how positive your attitude is or how hard you try, you're going to stay lost. Our paradigms are our mental maps, and a lot of the time, we're using the wrong ones. Covey tells this incredibly powerful story to show what this looks like. He's on a subway, getting really annoyed by a man whose kids are just out of control. He's judging him, thinking, get a handle on your kids. But then, the man explains they just came from the hospital where their mother had just died. And in an instant, everything changes. His whole paradigm shifts from anger to deep compassion. That's the power of a paradigm shift. All right, so we get it. We need new paradigms. But how do we get there? Well, Covey lays out a framework for this, a kind of roadmap for growth that he calls the maturity continuum. It's the path to becoming truly effective. We all start out at dependence, right? As babies, we rely on others for everything. The paradigm is you. Then we grow and strive for independence. I can do it myself. A lot of us think that's the ultimate goal. But Covey says, nope, there's a higher level. Interdependence. That's the we paradigm. The understanding that by working together, we can achieve so much more than I ever could on my own. Now, before we hit the habits, there's one more crucial idea, the P/PC balance. Just think of that old fable. The farmer has a goose that lays a golden egg every day. He gets greedy, kills the goose to get all the eggs at once, and finds nothing. The golden eggs are the results you want. That's production. But the goose is your ability to produce those results. True effectiveness means you have to take care of both. And with that foundation set, we are finally ready for the habits themselves. You can think of these as the tools that will help us transform. And they're broken down into two main parts, the private victory and the public victory. The first stage is what Covey calls the private victory. This is all about habits 1, 2, and 3. It's about self-mastery. I mean, you have to get your own act together before you can build great relationships or lead a team. You've got to win the private victory first. So habit 1, be proactive. This is the big one. It's about understanding that between what happens to you and how you respond, there is a space. And in that space is your power to choose. Reactive people are driven by feelings and circumstances. Proactive people are driven by their values. They take responsibility. They're the architects of their own lives. Okay, habit 2, again with the end in mind. This one's pretty deep. Covey asks you to imagine your own funeral. It sounds a little dark, I know, but think about it. What would you want people to say about you, about who you were, what you contributed? By figuring that out, you get total clarity on what's truly important, and you can start living that way right now. Habit 3, put first things first, is all about acting on habit 2. This is day-to-day management. Most of us live in the urgent boxes, putting out fires, dealing with interruptions, but effective people spend their time in quadrant 2, the important but not urgent stuff. This is where the real magic happens, things like planning, prevention, and relationship building.
So once you've achieved that private victory, once you're proactive and you know where you're going, you're ready for the public victory. These next 3 habits are all about teamwork and communication, moving from I to we. Habit 4 is a complete paradigm shift. Think win-win. Most of us are raised with a win-lose mentality. For me to win, you have to lose. But win-win says there's a better way. It's based on an abundance mentality, a belief that there's plenty for everyone. It's about cooperation, not competition. Habit 5 is the key to all communication. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Most of us don't really listen. We listen with the intent to reply. The optometrist analogy here is just perfect. You'd never trust a doctor who gave you a prescription without examining your eyes first, right? So why do we give advice before we truly understand the situation? And that brings us to habit 6, synergize. This is where the magic really happens. Synergy is when the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. It's when you truly value the differences in other people, their opinions, their perspectives. When you combine that with a win-win attitude and great listening, you create solutions that nobody could have thought of alone. All right, we've covered 6 habits, but how do you keep it all going? How do you avoid burning out? Well, that brings us to the final and maybe the most crucial habit of them all. This quote just perfectly captures a trap we all fall into. We get so busy doing the work that we never take time to improve ourselves. But as any woodcutter knows, if you take a break to sharpen the saw, you'll cut down the tree way faster. That's habit 7. Habit 7 is all about preserving and enhancing the greatest asset you have, you. And it means taking time for renewal in 4 key areas of your life. The physical, like exercise and nutrition; the mental, like reading and learning; the social and emotional, which is all about our relationships; and the spiritual, which is connecting with your core values. Because at the end of the day, the 7 habits aren't a one-time fix. They're meant to create an upward spiral of continuous growth. And that leads to this beautiful final idea from Covey. Live your life in crescendo. Always believe that your most important work, your greatest contribution, is still to come. Fatter wallets.